My wife ordered groceries every Friday to an apartment across town. She told me the food was for her sister. For almost 8 months, I believed her. Then one receipt landed in our shared account, and I realized she wasn't helping family. She was building a second home with another man. Not a hotel room, not a one-night mistake, not some impulsive office affair she could later describe as a lapse in judgment. A home, a refrigerator stocked with the yogurt she liked, a coffee machine that used the exact pods she bought for our kitchen, her moisturizer on the bathroom shelf, a spare phone charger beside a bed that wasn't ours, and photographs, not explicit ones. That would have been easier, in a strange way. These were worse. Pictures of her laughing in sunlight, her bare feet tucked under a blanket, her hand resting on a man's shoulder while they sat at a table I had never seen. A picture of 2 grocery bags on a counter, with a note taped above them that said, "Friday is our night. My name is Marcus Lane." I was 44 years old when I found out my wife had been living a second life every Friday night. And the worst part was not that she had another man. It was that she had made room for him in the parts of her life she always told me belonged to us. Before I knew, at the time, I lived in Columbus, Ohio, with my wife Elena and our 2 children. Our son Noah was 14. He was tall for his age, quiet in the way teenagers get quiet when they're deciding whether the world is worth talking to. He loved basketball, old video games, and pretending he didn't care when I came to his games. Our daughter Lily was 9. She had curly brown hair, a gap where one of her front teeth had fallen out, and a habit of asking questions that made adults uncomfortable. Why do grown-ups say they're fine when they're obviously upset? That was one of hers. I never had a good answer. I worked in delivery operations for a regional grocery company. I didn't drive a route anymore, not full-time. I managed driver schedules, handled missed orders, reviewed service complaints, and spent too many hours explaining to customers that a replacement for organic basil was not a personal attack. The job was stressful, but I liked the logic of it. An order had a time, a driver had a route. A missed delivery had a reason. If you looked long enough, most problems had a trail. Elena worked in corporate event planning for a medical supply company. Her job meant dinners with clients, conferences, vendor meetings, and occasional late nights. She was good at it, better than good. She could walk into a room of strangers and make each person feel like the entire event had been organized around them. I used to admire that about her. She remembered names, she remembered birthdays. She knew which clients drank sparkling water, which ones hated loud restaurants, and which ones needed to feel important before they agreed to anything. At home, she was organized in a quieter way. She packed the kids' lunches on Sunday night. She ordered groceries every Friday. She kept a list on the refrigerator of school events, dentist appointments, basketball practices, client dinners, and family birthdays. For years, Friday had been our easiest night. Pizza for the kids, a movie after dinner. Elena usually ordered groceries for Saturday morning because she liked waking up to a full refrigerator. Eggs, berries, bagels, Greek yogurt, almond milk, the expensive coffee pods she insisted tasted less burnt. Then, about 8 months before everything broke apart, Elena told me her older sister, Marisa, was going through a difficult time. Marisa had separated from her husband and moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. Elena said she was embarrassed to ask for help. So every Friday, Elena ordered groceries to Marisa's place. I never questioned it. Why would I? Marisa had always been private. She lived about 40 minutes away. She and Elena talked often, but I didn't see her much after the separation. And Elena didn't ask me for money directly. The groceries came out of our shared household account, but they were never large enough to stand out. $80 one week, $95 the next, sometimes $120 if she added wine, flowers, or prepared food. I thought my wife was being kind. I thought she was helping her sister rebuild. I thought the money was going toward a woman sitting alone in a small apartment, trying to figure out what came after a failed marriage. I did not know it was paying for imported cheese, fresh flowers, and the kind of dinners my wife had stopped making at home. The receipt came on a Tuesday afternoon. I was in my office at the distribution center, halfway through reviewing a complaint from a customer who said a driver had left frozen food too close to a sunny window. My phone buzzed. I almost ignored it. Then I saw the subject line. Your order adjustment has been completed. The order was from the previous Friday. There had been a substitution, A particular brand of sparkling water had been out of stock, and the system had refunded $3.89. Nothing unusual, except the delivery address was not Marissa's apartment. I knew Marissa's address. I had helped her move 2 years earlier, back when her marriage had still looked shaky but not finished. I remembered carrying a chipped green dresser up 2 flights of stairs and scraping my knuckles against the wall. The address on the receipt was on Bexley Avenue, a newer building, clean brick exterior, secure entrance, the kind of place where rents were high enough that everyone pretended the lobby furniture mattered. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I did what people do when they already know something is wrong but still want an innocent explanation. I called Marissa. She answered on the 4th ring. "Marcus?" "Hey," I said. "Sorry to bother you. Elena said you were having trouble with the grocery delivery last week. Did everything show up okay?" There was a pause. Not long, but long enough. "What grocery delivery?" I felt my body go still. Not cold, not angry, still. Like every part of me had stopped moving so I could hear the next thing more clearly. "Elena's Friday order," I said carefully. "The one she sends to you." Marissa breathed in. Then she said, "Marcus, Elena hasn't sent me groceries." I looked through the office window at the loading bays. Drivers moved pallets. Forklifts beeped. Someone laughed near the vending machines. A truck backed slowly toward Dock 6, its warning alarm chirping in steady reverse. Everything outside my office looked ordinary. Inside, my life had changed shape. "Maybe she's been using a different account," Marissa said, her voice cautious now. "Maybe," I replied. But I already knew that was not it, because Elena had told me about every Friday order. She'd mention it casually. Marissa needed some things. "She's having a rough week." I added soup because she sounded tired. She had made compassion part of the lie. I thanked Marissa. I told her it was probably a mix-up. I ended the call before she could ask why I sounded strange. Then I opened the order history. There were 31 deliveries to Bexley Avenue. 31 Fridays. The first had been 8 months earlier. The order amounts varied, but the pattern did not. Fresh fruit, eggs, coffee, toilet paper, wine, laundry detergent, flowers, prepared meals. And every few weeks, something that did not fit a casual grocery drop for a struggling sister, a bottle of the perfume Elena wore only on special occasions, a certain brand of moisturizer, a candle she once bought for our bedroom before she stopped lighting candles at home. I clicked into the delivery notes. Most said the same thing. "Leave with concierge, unit 607. One said, "Please don't ring, baby sleeping." We didn't have a baby. Marissa didn't have a baby. My hands began to shake then, not dramatically. Just enough that I had to put my phone down on the desk. I kept looking at the screen. Unit 607, 31 Fridays. A life measured in grocery orders. The first lie. That evening, Elena came home at 6:20. She walked through the kitchen door carrying her laptop bag, a paper cup from a coffee shop, and the tired smile she used when she wanted everyone to understand she had been working hard. Lily ran to her first. "Mom, Dad said we can get pizza." Elena kissed the top of her head. "Did he?" "He said if you didn't have plans." "I don't," Elena said. Then she looked at me. For a second I studied her face. I had known that face for 17 years. I knew the faint line between her eyebrows when she was worried. The way she pressed her lips together when she wanted to avoid an argument. The little crease near her left eye when she laughed for real instead of politely. That night she looked normal. That was the part one still have trouble forgiving. Not that she lied. People lie when they're afraid. But she looked at me with the calm familiarity of a woman who believed she had built a lie strong enough to live inside. "How was your day?" she asked. "Busy," I said. "Anything happen?" I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because she had handed me the question herself. "Nothing unusual," I said. She nodded, then opened the refrigerator. "Oh, we're low on berries." "We are. I'll order groceries Friday." "For Marissa." She paused with the refrigerator door open, only for a second. Then she turned toward me. "Yes," she said. "For Marissa." I watched her say it. She did not stumble. She did not ask why I was asking. She did not look guilty. She just said it. "For Marissa." That was when I understood something important. The affair was not a secret Elena had fallen into. It was maintained, scheduled, budgeted, restocked, protected by repetition. Unit 607. The next Friday, I took the afternoon off. I told my manager I had a family issue. That part was true. At 4:40, I parked across the street from the Bexley Avenue building. The weather was gray and damp. The kind of Ohio evening where rain never fully starts, but the air feels wet enough to settle on your clothes. At 5:18, a delivery van pulled up. Not from my company, a competitor. I watched the driver unload 4 grocery bags and carry them inside. The concierge accepted them. Then, 20 minutes later, Elena arrived. She wasn't dressed for a sister's apartment. She wore a dark green coat, fitted black pants, and boots I had bought her the previous Christmas. Her hair was down, not in the loose, careless way she wore it around the house. It had been styled. She carried a small overnight bag, not a suitcase, not enough to make someone ask questions, but enough for a woman who planned to change clothes, shower, and sleep somewhere else. She entered the building without checking in. She knew the code. She knew the routine. She knew exactly where she was going. I waited. At 5:47, a man pulled up in a silver SUV. He was maybe 45. Broad shoulders, gray coat, dark hair trimmed close at the sides. The kind of man who moved like he was used to arriving somewhere and being expected. He carried a bottle of wine in one hand and a florist's bag in the other. He went inside. I sat there for almost 2 hours. I did not see them kiss. I did not need to. At 7:31, I saw the lights come on in Unit 607. The building's windows were tall, and the curtains were not fully closed. From across the street, I could see only shapes. Elena moving through the room, the man behind her, then the two of them standing close together in the kitchen. He touched her hair. She put both hands against his chest. I looked away, not because I was trying to protect her, because suddenly I remembered the kids at home. Noah had basketball practice. Lily had asked whether we could watch that animated movie again after pizza, and I was sitting in a car across from a stranger's apartment watching my wife become someone I no longer recognized. At 8:06, I drove home. I picked up pizza. I watched a movie with my children. When Elena texted at 9:14, "Marissa's having a hard night. I'm staying over," I replied with one word, "Okay." Then I went into our bedroom and looked at the side of the closet where Elena kept an extra overnight bag. It was gone. Evidence. I did not confront her the next morning. I wanted to. There is a version of me that still walks through that apartment building, pounds on Unit 607, and demands an explanation while the whole floor listens. But I had children. I had a mortgage. I had a shared bank account. And I had learned enough from my job to know that when something goes wrong, the first story you hear is rarely the complete one. So I began documenting only what I could lawfully access: the shared grocery account, our shared credit card statements, the family calendar, my own messages with Elena, the expense reports she had voluntarily left on the kitchen counter, because until then I had never had a reason to read them closely. The apartment itself was leased to Owen Mercer. I learned that through a public property record and a basic business search. Owen was a regional sales director for a company that supplied office furniture and design services to corporate clients. That mattered because Elena's company had recently renovated 2 floors of its headquarters. Owen's company had won the contract. The connection had been there in plain sight. Elena had mentioned him once, months earlier. "His name is Owen. He's helping with the executive suite remodel." She had said it while scrolling through her phone. "He's kind of intense, but he gets things done." At the time, I had barely looked up from loading the dishwasher. Now I remembered the way she had smiled. Not much, just enough. Over the next 2 weeks, I saw the same pattern repeat. Friday grocery orders, Friday calls with Marissa, Friday nights away. Sometimes she came home Saturday morning with a story about helping her sister through a bad night. Sometimes she returned Friday before midnight, saying Marissa had fallen asleep and she didn't want to leave too late. But she never came home smelling like her sister's apartment. She came home smelling like a hotel lobby, wine, warm fabric, expensive soap, and beneath it all, sometimes, a cologne I had started to recognize. Owen wore cedar and something sharp. I knew because Elena's scarf smelled like it after one of her client dinners. I knew because when she hugged Noah after one Friday night away, he pulled back and said, "Mom, you smell weird." Elena laughed. "It's probably Marissa's candles." Noah shrugged and went back to his game. I stood at the sink, rinsing a glass that was already clean. I remember thinking, she has an answer ready for everything. The apartment. The proof I had was enough to know she was lying. It was not enough to understand what she had built, and I needed to understand that, not because understanding would make it hurt less, because I had to know what decisions were coming. 3 Fridays later, Elena told me she was spending the night with Marisa again. At 6:05 p.m., I watched her enter Bexley Avenue. At 6:21, I saw Owen arrive. At 8:10, I called our bank's fraud and lost card line, not to report fraud, to confirm whether I could remove myself from automatic notifications for purchases I did not make. The representative explained how shared account alerts worked. I thanked her, ended the call, and reviewed our account history again. That was when I found a charge I had missed. A home goods store, 7 months earlier, $286. The purchase was made on a Friday. The items were listed in the digital receipt: sheets, towels, a duvet cover, pillowcases, a small framed mirror. The colors were familiar: cream, deep green, warm gray. They were the same colors Elena had once said she wanted for our bedroom, before we agreed we could not afford to redecorate that year. I sat alone in my office after everyone had gone home and stared at the receipt. She had not just visited that apartment, she had decorated it. The following Monday, I met with a family law attorney named Dana Roth. I did not arrive with a dramatic story. I brought a folder: statements, receipts, the address, a timeline, screenshots of messages where Elena said she was with her sister while delivery records showed groceries arriving at Unit 607. Dana listened carefully. Then she said something I needed to hear. Do not enter the apartment. Do not access devices you are not authorized to use. Do not confront the other man alone. Do not use the children to gather information. Keep records. Secure your finances legally. And before you make any decision, think about what outcome protects you and your children, not what creates the most pain. That last part stayed with me, because pain was available everywhere. I could have made calls. I could have posted screenshots. I could have walked into Elena's office and turned her life into a spectacle. But when you have children, humiliation does not stay contained. It leaks. It follows them to school. It shows up in the way they look at you when they realize adults can make terrible choices. I did not want to win by becoming reckless. I wanted to survive without teaching my children that cruelty was strength. The photograph came from Lily, not intentionally. That is important. She did not search for it. She did not know what it meant. One Sunday afternoon, she asked if she could use Elena's old tablet to draw. Elena had upgraded her work device months earlier and left the old one in a drawer near the living room desk. Lily had used it before for coloring apps. That day, she came into the kitchen holding it in both hands. Dad, what's up? Why does Mom have pictures of a house that isn't ours? I looked at the screen. She had opened the Photos app. Most of the images were ordinary. School forms, receipts, screenshots, pictures of the kids, a photo of our dog wearing a birthday hat. Then, halfway down the screen, there was a cloud-synced folder Elena had apparently forgotten to remove. I saw Unit 607, not all at once. First, a picture of a countertop. Then a close-up of a handwritten grocery list. Then Elena standing in front of a mirror in a bedroom I had never seen, wearing a soft cream sweater I thought she had donated months earlier. Then a picture of Owen's hand holding 2 mugs. Then Elena's hand beside his. Their fingers did not fully interlock. They touched at the knuckles, a small thing, a private thing, a thing people do when they are comfortable enough to stop performing. Lily looked at me. Is that Aunt Marisa's place? I swallowed. No, sweetheart. Then whose is it? I took the tablet gently from her hands. I'm not sure yet. That was not entirely true. I was sure. But I would not hand my daughter the truth before I knew how to protect her from it. I closed the photo app and gave her my phone instead. Why don't you draw on this one? Okay. She skipped away, and I stood in the kitchen holding that old tablet, feeling something inside me harden, not into rage, into responsibility, what they had built. That night, after the children were asleep, I opened the synced folder again. There were 43 photographs. Most were harmless on their own. That was what made them unbearable. A grocery bag on the floor, Elena's boots beside a man's larger shoes, 2 plates on a coffee table, a blanket folded over the couch, a half-finished puzzle, a vase of flowers, a pair of her reading glasses on the nightstand. There was a photo of a refrigerator door. On it, held by a small magnet, was a childlike drawing. Not from our kids. It was something Owen's niece had made during a visit, according to a caption Elena had written beneath the image, but below it was something else. A note in Elena's handwriting. Milk, berries, eggs, coffee, Owen's lunches, Friday wine. Friday wine. There was another note, this one on the bathroom mirror. Don't forget your black dress for the client dinner. Love you. I stared at those words. Love you. 2 ordinary words. Words Elena still said to me sometimes before hanging up the phone. Words she said to Noah and Lily every night. Words she had apparently written on a mirror in a bathroom she stocked with her own shampoo, her own face wash, and a spare toothbrush. I found a picture of a closet. One side held Owen's shirts and jackets. The other side had Elena's things, a green dress, jeans, a pair of heels, a robe, her robe, the blue one with the small tear in the sleeve that she claimed she had thrown away because the fabric was worn out. She had not thrown it away. She had moved it, from our home to theirs. The confrontation. I confronted Elena on a Wednesday evening, not Friday. I did not want the children home. Dana had advised me to arrange a neutral place for them, so I asked my mother to take them overnight. I told her Elena and I had some things to discuss. My mother did not ask questions. She had known me long enough to hear what I wasn't saying. Lily hugged me before leaving. Are you okay, Dad? I smiled at her. I'm tired. She studied me with those serious 9-year-old eyes. Grown-ups say that when they're upset. I kissed her forehead. You're too smart. I know, she said. Then she left with my mother. At 7:15, Elena came home. She looked surprised when she saw the children weren't there. Where are the kids? With my mom. Why? Because we need to talk. Her face changed. Not completely, but enough. She set her bag down slowly. What's going on? I had prepared what I wanted to say. I had practiced it in my car, in the shower, in my office after everyone left. But when I looked at her, the words came out simpler than I expected. Who lives in Unit 607 on Bexley Avenue? Elena did not answer. That silence was the first honest thing she had given me in months. Marcus, who lives there? She sat down at the kitchen table. Her hands went flat against the wood. Why are you asking me that? Because you've sent groceries there every Friday for 8 months. She looked down. Because I called Marisa. Her shoulders tightened. Because I saw you go into that building. Her eyes filled with tears. Because Lily found the photos. That was when Elena looked up. Not guilty, afraid. Not afraid of losing me. Afraid that our daughter had been close to seeing what she had done. I didn't know the tablet still had those, she whispered. I laughed once. A dry, empty sound. That's what you're worried about. Marcus, please. No. You don't get to say please yet. You don't get to cry before you tell me the truth. She covered her mouth. I was going to end it. When? She didn't answer. When, Elena? I don't know. I nodded slowly. That's what I thought. She started crying. I never wanted this to happen. I looked at her. You ordered groceries for it. She flinched. You decorated it. She cried harder. You kept clothes there. Marcus, you wrote love you on his bathroom mirror. Her face collapsed. Not because I had yelled. I didn't. Because she understood I knew the details. The intimate details she had hidden were no longer hers to control. I need you to tell me what it was, I said. She stared at the table. It started with work. Of course it did. He was working with our office on the renovation. We had meetings, then dinners with the project team. Then he started calling, and you answered. Yes. What did you tell him about me? She looked away. Everything. That hurt more than I expected. Not the word. The ease of it. Everything. Everything what? Our problems. Your work hours. The way we stopped going out. How lonely I felt. You told him I worked too much. Yes. You told him I wasn't there. I said I felt alone. You told him about the kids? Yes. You told him about our money? Her silence answered that one too. I stood up and walked to the sink. Outside, the street was dark. A neighbor's porch light flickered across wet pavement. Somewhere, a dog barked twice and then stopped. Behind me, Elena said, I didn't mean to hurt you. I turned around. I believe you didn't want to feel like the person who hurt me. She looked at me. But that isn't the same thing. The truth about Owen. For the next hour, Elena told me pieces of the story, not all at once. Truth does not come out cleanly when someone has spent months organizing lies. It comes in fragments. A dinner after a project meeting, a late-night phone call, a kiss in a parking garage, A first night at Owen's apartment after she told me she was staying with Marisa. Then the apartment became a place they returned to because Owen said hotels made him feel cheap. He wanted it to feel normal. That was the word Elena used. Normal. He asked what coffee she drank. He bought her favorite cereal. He made a drawer for her things. He told her to leave clothes so she would not have to carry a bag. He gave her a key. Then he asked if she could start ordering groceries because his work travel made it difficult. She said yes. Every Friday, she built their weekend. She ordered food. She picked wine. She bought flowers sometimes. She planned meals. She left our house after telling me she was helping her sister. Then she went to another man's apartment and made it feel warm, made it feel lived in, made it feel like a home. Did he tell you he loved you? I asked. Elena closed her eyes. Yes. Did you believe him? Yes. Do you love him? She started crying again. I thought I did. That answer was so small, so weak, and somehow worse than if she had said yes. Because it told me our marriage had been endangered not by some great passion, but by a woman who had allowed herself to be flattered into a second life. Does his wife know? I asked. Elena looked at me. He doesn't have a wife. Does he have anyone else? She hesitated. Just once, but I saw it. Elena, I don't know. That's not what I asked. Her voice broke. I found out last month that there was another woman. I sat down. For the first time that night, I felt something close to pity. Not forgiveness, not softness, pity. Owen had not been building a future with Elena. He had been maintaining an apartment designed to make women feel chosen. The groceries, the drawers, the flowers, the coffee, the little domestic rituals. He had learned that if you create the appearance of home, people will mistake access for commitment. Who is she? I asked. I don't know her name. Did he end things with her? He said he was going to. And did you believe him? Elena stared at me. Then she whispered, I wanted to. Boundaries. The next morning, I called Dana Roth. By noon we had a plan. Not revenge, not punishment, a plan. I moved half of our available joint savings into an account Dana confirmed I could legally use for household stability and legal expenses. I documented every transfer. I changed passwords to my personal accounts. I removed automatic access to business-related information. I froze our shared credit card pending a conversation through counsel. I did not empty accounts. I did not cancel Elena's access to essentials. I did not post anything online. I did not call Owen. I did not want to become a man who used chaos because he could not tolerate pain. When Elena came home from work that Friday, I had a suitcase by the door. Not for her, for me. She looked at it and began to cry again. Are you leaving? For now. Where are you going? My brother's place. Marcus, please. We can work on this. No. Counseling. Counseling is not a door you walk through after you get caught. It's work you choose before you build another life in secret. She sat on the stairs. I made a mistake. I looked at her. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. A mistake is missing an exit. You made 31 grocery deliveries to another man's apartment. She covered her face. I know. No, I said quietly. You know you got caught. I'm not sure you know what you did. I left. Not because I wanted to. Because if I stayed, I would keep looking at the refrigerator and imagining her making lists for him. Milk, berries, eggs, coffee, Friday wine, the children. Telling the children was the hardest part. Dana and a family counselor both advised the same thing. Do not burden them with adult details. Do not make them choose sides. Do not ask them to carry secrets. Give them enough truth to understand the change without making them witnesses to the betrayal. So a week later, Elena and I sat with Noah and Lily in the living room. Noah knew something was wrong before we spoke. He had stopped asking where I was sleeping. He had started watching me the way people watch a storm cloud. Elena spoke first. Your dad and I are having serious problems. Lily's face tightened. Are you getting divorced? Elena started crying. Noah looked at me. I answered. We're working with adults who can help us make good decisions. That means yes, Noah said. He was 14. He knew how adults used soft words when the hard ones were true. I nodded. It may mean yes. Why? Lily asked. I looked at Elena. She looked down. Then I said, because Mom and I broke trust with each other in different ways, and we need to figure out what is healthiest for everyone. It was not the entire truth, but it was not a lie. Noah stood up. What did she do? Elena, I said gently, not now. But Noah was looking at his mother. What did you do? She cried. I made choices that hurt Dad. Noah's jaw tightened. You cheated? The room went quiet. Lily looked between us. What does that mean? I took her hand. It means Mom made promises to our family and didn't keep them. Lily began to cry, not loudly. That almost made it worse. She leaned into me, and I held her while Noah stood by the window, staring out at the street. There are moments in parenthood when you understand that love is not only tenderness. Sometimes it is standing still while your child's world changes and refusing to make them carry the weight of the thing that broke it. Owen's last lie. 2 weeks later, Elena called me while I was at work. Her voice was shaking. I went to the apartment. I stopped typing. Why? I wanted to get my things. Okay. He changed the code. I said nothing. I waited downstairs, she continued. I saw him come in with someone. Who? The other woman. She began crying harder. She had a key too. Of course she did. The apartment had not been a home. It had been a set. A carefully arranged room where Owen could give each woman the same story. A drawer, a robe, a place at the counter, a Friday night. What did he say? I asked. He said I was making a scene. I closed my eyes. What did he say when you told him you knew? He said we never promised each other anything. There it was, the truth, stripped of flowers and wine. He had never promised her anything. She had filled the apartment with meaning because she needed it to mean something. He said I had my family, Elena whispered. He said I was the one who chose to risk it. I sat in my office for a long moment. Then I said, he's right about one thing. She went quiet. You chose. Marcus, I'm not saying that to hurt you. I'm saying it because until you stop describing this as something that happened to you, you won't understand why we can't go back. She did not argue. Months later, 6 months after I found the receipt, I moved into a townhouse 10 minutes from the children's school. It was smaller than our old house. The kitchen was narrow. The laundry room was in the hallway. The living room had one wall painted a color Lily chose herself. She called it ocean green. It looked more like faded teal. I told her it was perfect. Noah had a room upstairs. He still kept his basketball shoes by the door, even though I reminded him every week that shoes belonged in his room. Lily had a shelf for her drawings. One of them showed a house with 3 windows, a dog, a basketball hoop, and 4 people standing in front. In the first version, Elena was missing. In the second version, she was there. Children are kinder than adults in ways we do not always deserve. Elena and I shared parenting time under a temporary agreement while the divorce process continued. I did not tell the children about Unit 607. I did not tell them about Friday wine, the robe, the drawer, the notes on the bathroom mirror, or the pictures of grocery bags. Those details belonged to the failure of adults. They did not belong in the childhood of my son and daughter. Elena began individual counseling. I did too. Not because I wanted someone to explain her choices to me. No explanation could make them reasonable. I went because I had started measuring every silence against what I had missed. Every late text, every grocery bag, every time she said she was tired. I needed to learn that trusting someone did not make me foolish. It made me human. One Saturday morning, Noah and I went grocery shopping. He pushed the cart while I checked the list. Eggs, berries, bagels, yogurt, coffee. For a second I froze. He noticed. You okay? Yeah, I said. Then I took a breath, just thinking. About Mom? I looked at him. He was old enough now to see more than I wanted him to see. Sometimes, I said. He nodded. Then he put a box of cereal in the cart. The expensive one? Your sister likes it. She gets everything. She has you wrapped around her finger. That's true, I said. He smiled. A real one. And in that grocery store aisle, with fluorescent lights above us and a cart that squeaked every time we turned, I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Not victory, not revenge, peace, small, incomplete, but real. I still think about Unit 607 sometimes. Not because I miss what Elena had there. I don't. I think about how easy it is to mistake routines for safety, how you can share a bed with someone, raise children with them, build a calendar around them, and still not know the rooms they keep locked inside themselves. But I also think about what came after. My son learning to talk again, my daughter painting a wall ocean green, my mother showing up with soup without asking questions, my brother giving me the spare room when I had nowhere else to go. And I think about the first Friday I stopped checking Elena's grocery history. I was sitting in my new kitchen while Lily made hot chocolate. Noah was pretending to do homework. The dog was asleep by the door. My phone buzzed with a notification from the grocery app. For a second, my chest tightened. Then I looked at it. It was my own order: milk, berries, eggs, coffee. This time it was being delivered to my home. And for the first time in months, that word did not hurt.
Yeah. Saw you stepping in, all eyes turning, heartbeat skips to your rhythm. Yeah. Daylight sliding through the window, your laughter sets the speakers off. Coffee cooling on the table, we're tangled in playlists and plans. Your energy contagious, pushes worries out the door. This moment light and ordinary turns magic when you say my name. Can't fake this feeling, your spark pulls me up. Wanna run with you, never slow down. Every move is a message, every glance says now. Oh, let's catch the ride while the city's wide awake. Jump into rhythms only we can make. Turn up the track, reminders fade. We're living loud, don't need to escape. Quick call.